Hi, this is David Stewart's video blog reflection for negotiations. So to start out, I would assess my current skill at negotiation as being about average, and I would objectively be basing this off of how I did mostly in the in-class negotiations. Once the results were revealed, I was typically in the middle of the pack on those. However, I do feel that I've come a long way and improved over the course of the quarter here. Two main skills I would say that I've improved the most, and those would be anchoring and also approaching the negotiation, focusing on reframing it in a way that we both get what we want out of it. So for the first skill of anchoring, I believe is probably the most important skill. And my favorite reading on this was when they were talking about the real estate listings, and when they asked what was important to them, they would say they would base the price off the square footage and these different quantitative aspects, but really they found that the initial listing price that they recorded had a huge effect. And in a similar manner, when they asked the auditors what they would estimate to be the amount of fraud that they found in corporations, when they framed it as greater than or equal to 10 per 1,000, they on average responded that 16 cases of fraud occurred, whereas if they framed it as 200 out of 1,000, they ended up saying they estimated 43 cases of fraud. So to me, this really shows the importance of anchoring, and I've learned through the negotiations that you really have to rebuff unrealistic anchors immediately. And I also realized that if you set a ridiculous anchor right out of the gate, your partner may feel that you're not negotiating in good faith, and that can really be detrimental to the negotiations also. So there's really a sweet spot there that I think can only be learned over time. I would say I most successfully demonstrated this in the Bullard House negotiation. We set an anchor really low initially of about 8 million, and it wasn't immediately rebuffed. So that let me know approximately where they stood, and I felt like we had a really good starting point right from the get-go. I also feel like my team did a really good job of holding back with revealing too much information, which is another major thing that I learned throughout this course. If you reveal your cards too quickly, there's generally a lot of downside to that and not much upside. But if you can hold back and strategically reveal information as you go, as it benefits you, that can be a major asset for you. Another negotiation where I felt like I used this skill was my favorite negotiation, and actually one that didn't end very well for me, but that I learned a lot from, which was the Harbor Co. negotiation. I was the other ports, and I had come to a tacit agreement with the unions that I would not vote for any deal that didn't have full union support, and the unions in turn wouldn't vote for any deal that didn't provide me with at least $450 million in compensation. And we successfully held out until very late in the negotiation. Harbor Co. finally drove a wedge between us, and when I felt like my partner was cracking and was going to take a deal, I tried to essentially throw him under the bus and undercut him with a deal of my own, with the secret intention of voting it down in the end, which I was not successful with. But I learned how to figure out how to leverage other parties in the negotiation to figure out where we might have mutual interests and use those to our advantage. So as far as biggest lessons learned, I would say anchoring is huge. Know when to hold back information, tease out what is important to the other party, and figure out who your allies are and what you can do behind the scenes to make a negotiation successful. And my biggest challenges are know what things are negotiable, know what my BATNA is, and as a kind of introverted person, don't be too timid, and don't be afraid to negotiate and really go after the things that are important to me, because surprisingly, things are more negotiable than they originally seem.